The man you see here was born with no higher level brain functions.
What if we were to transfer the consciousness of one person into the body of this man? Hello, Moira.
Everyone talks about Easter eggs in DVDs. We like putting Easter eggs in the body of the movies themselves. We like putting in little hints for people that if they read the comics their whole lives and they're big fans, they might recognize a few things.
You actually go outside in these things? What would you prefer? Yellow spandex?
There are a number of things in both X-Men 1 and X-Men 2, some very hidden, some a little more obvious, that you can look at that leads you towards the story that we were telling in X-Men 3. If you look at Jean Grey throughout the course of X-Men 1 and 2, you can see that she's never quite comfortable with her power level. You can see that she's always discussing with Cyclops how the professor is trying to help her maintain control of her abilities. We hint that there's always a chance that if that power goes unchecked, something could happen.
My dreams are getting worse. Scott.
There's a shot at the end of X-Men 1 where they're in the Statue of Liberty head when Magneto's machine that's on the torch has just been vanquished, and there's a final flash of the mutating light ray that he'd been sending out towards Ellis Island. It finally dissipates, and there's a close-up of Jean Grey, and you just linger a little second longer on her than we do on anyone else, and you see a reaction from her. But that was put in there purposefully to try and suggest maybe somewhere down the line in another movie we'll be able to look back and pinpoint that moment as something happened to her. Maybe she was affected somehow by that ray. Maybe something within her mutations altered a bit, and she just has this premonition that something might not be right. And as that continues in X-Men 2, and you see her eyes start to light up and you see the flame effects coming into her eyes, she exerts more and more power throughout that movie than we'd ever seen from her. She's able to hold back Cyclops' beam, which is something that no one has ever been able to do before. So we start escalating her powers in a way that, again, fans of the comics will see as a progression towards Dark Phoenix. There are all sorts of prophecies that are within the X-Men universe, and the end of X-Men 1, the chess match between Xavier and Magneto, leads you right into the beginning of Part 2. If you remember, we used that in the trailer of Part 2, is their discussion, what will you do if they come for you in the night and raid the mansion? You know, what will you do when the war is finally upon us?
I feel a great swell of pity for the poor soul who comes to that school looking for trouble.
Xavier and Magneto have a long history together. They were colleagues years and years before X-Men 1. Xavier has a line in X-Men 1 in which he hints at that relationship, that he's known Magneto for a long time, and that Magneto has even helped him in forming the school, in building Cerebro.
He seems to have